Look at that windswept coast, the crashing waves, the biting wind, the sheer, raw power of nature that makes you feel small and fragile. Now, look up. See them, the seagulls, not just surviving, but thriving, carving elegant lines through the chaos as if the gale itself is their personal playground. We've all seen them 1,000 times, dismissed them as noisy scavengers, the fast food thieves of the beach. But what if I told you that every single assumption you have about these birds is a profound underestimation? What if I told you that the seagull, floating so serenely above that turbulent shore, is one of the most intelligent, resilient, and ecologically crucial creatures on this planet, a living masterpiece of evolution that has cracked the code to dominating the interface between sea, land, and air? This isn't just a video about birds. This is a revelation about the secret rulers of the coastline. And by the end of it, you will never look at a seagull the same way again. Let's begin by unraveling the first, most visible layer of their genius, flight. To you and me, that wind is an obstacle, a force to lean into. To the seagull, it is the very architecture of its world. Their flight is not merely movement. It is an exquisite conversation with physics. Notice the shape of their wings, long, broad, and perfectly angled. They are built for dynamic soaring, a technique so efficient it inspired human engineers. They don't just fight the wind, they exploit it. They climb into the windward side of a wave, using the rising air deflected off the water's surface like an invisible elevator. At the peak, they turn and let the wind whip them downwind at tremendous speed, storing that kinetic energy. Then they turn again crosswind and back into the windward lift zone, repeating the cycle with barely a wing beat. This isn't flying, it's harvesting energy from the atmosphere itself. It allows them to patrol for hours, covering hundreds of miles with minimal effort, turning a hostile, energy-sapping environment into a perpetual motion machine. But their mastery goes beyond mere efficiency. Watch a gull in a sudden gust. Its wing feathers are micro-adjustable. Tiny muscles can spread or close the primary feathers, creating slots that prevent stalling. Or they can morph the wing's shape from a high-lift curve to a streamlined blade for speed. Their tails are not just for show. They are rudders, air brakes, and stabilizers, flicking minutely to correct rolls and yaws caused by turbulent air. They are reading the wind like a musician reads a sheet of music, interpreting every riff and gust. And consider this. On a coast being pummeled by a storm, where every other bird has sought shelter, the gulls are often still there, not out of stupidity, but out of supreme capability. They use the fierce updrafts created by waves crashing against cliffs, performing acrobatics in air currents that would tear a lesser bird apart. This isn't just adaptation, it is total dominion. They have turned the very concept of windswept from a description of desolation into a blueprint for existence. So the next time you see that iconic silhouette against a stormy sky, understand you are not looking at a simple bird bobbing on the wind. You are looking at a million-year-old engineering marvel. A living glider that has perfected the art of turning chaos into a directed force. A serene white shape that is, in truth, the embodied spirit of the wild coast itself. But their secrets are not confined to the air. To truly understand the seagull, we must follow it down from its aerial kingdom and onto the rugged, unforgiving land below. The gull lands on the windswept coast with a grace that belies the harshness of its chosen stage. Its webbed feet, seemingly comical on land, sink slightly into the wet sand. This is the other half of its empire, the ground, the intertidal zone, a world that transitions from submerged to exposed twice a day, a relentless treadmill of opportunity and threat. Here, the seagull transforms from aerial virtuoso into a pragmatic and surprisingly ingenious survivalist. Let's shatter another myth right now, the idea that seagulls are just scavengers. Scavenging is a mark of intelligence, not laziness. It is the ability to recognize and capitalize on energy-rich opportunities without the high cost of a failed hunt. On a windswept coast, food is not guaranteed, it is episodic. A dead fish washes ashore. A crab is exposed by a retreating wave. A human leaves a scrap. The gull's brain is wired to spot these anomalies instantly. Their vision is extraordinary, capable of spotting a small crab from 100 feet in the air while simultaneously monitoring for rivals and predators. But their ground game involves tools and social strategies that would impress a primate. Observe a gull with a shellfish, a mussel, or a clam. It cannot pry it open with its bill, so it employs one of the animal kingdom's clearest examples of tool use. It flies into the air with the shell and drops it onto a hard surface, usually a rock or even a paved road near the coast. It doesn't just drop it, it learns the correct height and the best surface. If the shell doesn't break, it picks it up and tries again, often from a different angle. Some populations even learn to drop them in front of car tires for a higher success rate smash. This is learned behavior, passed down through generations, a cultural tradition of technology. Now think about the social dynamics. A coast may have hundreds of gulls. It's a bustling, noisy metropolis. That cacophony is not random noise, it's a complex communication network. They have distinct calls for alarm, for aggregating at a food source, for territorial disputes, and for begging chicks. They recognize each other individually, forming complex social hierarchies. A younger, lower-ranking gull will watch an older, successful one. It will learn where to forage, what to drop, and how to avoid danger. This social learning is the bedrock of their success. They are also masters of the timing dictated by the wind and tides. A strong onshore wind might push more marine life onto the beach. They become more active on the ground. A high tide might force them to follow the water's edge or switch to aerial foraging. Their entire daily rhythm is a dance with lunar and meteorological cycles. Furthermore, their physiology is built for this dual life. Those webbed feet are superb paddles when they swim, which they do confidently, bobbing in the swells. A special gland above their eyes filters excess salt from the seawater they inevitably drink and eat with, excreting it through their nostrils, a built-in desalination plant. From toe to tip, they are sealed against the cold and wet with dense, oily plumage, so when you see a gull standing stoically on a rock, being battered by sea spray, it is not merely enduring. It is executing a calculated strategy, leveraging tool use, social intelligence, and physiological superpowers to extract life from one of the most demanding feeding grounds on Earth. It is a philosopher of resourcefulness, proving that, in a world of feast and fan, the greatest skill is to turn absolutely anything into a feast. But to secure the future, this mastery of the present is not enough. The seagull story reaches its most poignant and ruthless chapter when we turn our eyes to the cliffs and dunes where it builds its nest and where the next generation must learn to conquer the wind. The windswept coast offers no easy nurseries. There are no sheltered forest groves here. For the seagull, the imperative to reproduce collides head-on with the environment it has so masterfully exploited. This leads to one of the most dramatic, high-stakes parenting strategies in the avian world. Their nesting sites are chosen not for comfort, but for brutal pragmatism, inaccessible cliff ledges, sparse dune grasses, isolated rocky islets, places where land predators like foxes or rats cannot easily reach. But this safety comes at a terrible cost. The very wind that grants them flight becomes a deadly hazard for their eggs and chicks. A single gust can sweep an entire clutch into the sea. So the nests are architectural declarations of defiance. They are often simple scrapes in the ground, but they are carefully lined with whatever the coast provides: dried seaweed, grass, feathers, even plastic debris materials woven into a shallow cup that grips the eggs. The parents choose locations with some minimal windbreak, a rock or a ridge of grass, demonstrating an intuitive understanding of microclimates. Once the eggs are laid, the real vigil begins. The parents take turns incubating, their bodies becoming living insulators against the cold ocean winds. The off-duty parent is not resting. It is engaged in a constant cycle of foraging to fuel itself and its partner. This is where the scavenging prowess pays off, providing the high-energy diet needed for this exhaustive effort. Then the chicks hatch tiny, vulnerable balls of down, utterly dependent and exposed to the elements. They are not safe in a tree hollow. They are on a windy, open stage. This exposure shapes their entire development. They are precocial, meaning they are mobile and alert from birth, able to leave the nest within hours if danger threatens. Their down is cryptically colored, blending perfectly with sand and rock. But the most fascinating adaptation is their behavior. Chicks learn the language of the wind almost immediately. They instinctively crouch low when a strong gust approaches, minimizing their profile. They learn to recognize the shadow of a predatory bird from their parents' alarm calls. And they are born into a classroom of ruthless efficiency. Parents do not simply regurgitate food into their mouths. They often prison it, drop it, or call the chicks to it, encouraging movement, problem-solving, and competition. In a brood of 3, there is often a hierarchy, with the strongest chick getting the most food. This seems cruel, but in a resource-scarce environment, it is a strategy to ensure that at least one offspring, the strongest, survives to fledge. It is investment triage. The chicks grow at an astonishing rate, fueled by a relentless delivery of fish, insects, and scraps. Their job is to convert this food into bone, muscle, and feather as quickly as possible. Their flight feathers grow in, replacing the down, and then comes the ultimate test, fledging. There is no gentle encouragement. On a windswept coast, the first flight is often a matter of life, death, or severe injury. A chick must leap from the cliff or dune and trust its untested wings to harness the very winds it has been hiding from. Many fail. But those that succeed make the transition in a matter of seconds from earthbound vulnerability to aerial sovereignty. They learn to fly by doing, often following a parent who coaxes them with food calls. This period of post-fledging care is crucial, where the parents continue to feed and teach the young gull how to forage, how to drop shells, how to read the tides and the social landscape. It is a transfer of generational wisdom, the passing of the coastal manifesto. Witnessing this cycle from the precarious nest to the first wobbly flight over crashing waves reveals the seagull not as a carefree beach bum, but as a creature engaged in a perpetual high-risk struggle to perpetuate its lineage. It is a story of fierce parental investment and Darwinian harshness, set against a soundtrack of howling wind and crashing surf. Yet, this ancient balance is now facing a new, unprecedented challenge that is reshaping their world and our perception of them. A challenge that comes not from the wild coast, but from us. For millennia, the seagull's relationship with the windswept coast was defined by natural cycles, wind, wave, tide, and the abundance or scarcity of marine life. Today, a powerful new force has been added to that equation: humanity. Our presence on the coast has triggered an evolutionary earthquake for gulls, transforming them in ways that make them one of the most potent symbols of the Anthropocene. This shift presents a paradox. On one hand, human activity has been a bonanza. The rise of commercial fishing provided offal and bycatch, a mountain of easy protein. The creation of landfills offered staggering, year-round buffets of food waste. Our coastal cities spilled edible refuse. Seagull populations, from many species, exploded. They became urban and suburban dwellers, adapting to our schedules, our structures, and our leftovers with breathtaking speed. They learned that chip bags can be torn open, that garbage truck routes are predictable, that humans eating outdoors are soft targets. Their innate curiosity and problem-solving intelligence, once used to open shellfish, now devised methods to open automatic bin lids. This is not stupidity or degradation. It is staggering behavioral plasticity. They have effectively colonized a new ecosystem we created, the human niche. But this success has come at a severe cost, both to their reputation and to their ecological role. The scavenger label has morphed into pest. Their boldness in snatching food is seen as aggression. Their large, noisy colonies near towns are considered a nuisance. The very intelligence that allows them to thrive is viewed as cunning and annoying. Furthermore, our waste is not healthy for them. A diet of processed food, plastic, and pollutants leads to disease, deformities, and toxins entering their food chain. The natural, balanced diet of fish and invertebrates is being replaced by nutritionally poor, often dangerous substitutes. This brings us to the deeper, more troubling impact, the disruption of the natural coastal ecology. When gull populations are artificially inflated by landfill food, their pressure on other species increases. They may overpredate on other seabirds' eggs and chicks, or outcompete them for natural food sources. Their massive colonies can overwhelm sensitive dune ecosystems with their nutrient-rich guano, altering plant life. The windswept coast is no longer a purely natural system. It is a hybrid landscape where the gull's success is now intertwined with our waste streams. And now, as we belatedly try to clean up our act by sealing landfills, managing waste better, and reducing fishing discards, we are pulling the rug out from under these adapted populations. Some are struggling. This creates a complex conservation dilemma. Are these abundant gulls wildlife to be protected, or pests to be managed? The truth is, they are a mirror. They reflect our impact. The sight of a gull flying over a windswept coast with a plastic bag in its beak is a powerful, tragic image. It shows a creature of sublime natural engineering contending with the detritus of our civilization. Their story is now a cautionary tale about unintended consequences and the blurring line between the wild and the human-dominated world. To understand the modern seagull is to understand that we are no longer mere observers of the coast. We are active, often disruptive, participants in its drama. The gull has adapted to us faster than we have understood our own role. But within this challenge lies the final, and perhaps most beautiful, chapter of their tale, a reminder of what they truly are when the human noise fades away, and they are left alone with the eternal elements that forge them. So, where does this leave us and the gulls on this windswept coast? We have followed them from the physics of their flight to the ingenuity of their foraging, from the harsh drama of their nesting to the complex challenge of their coexistence with us. We have seen them as engineers, tool users, social learners, devoted parents, and opportunistic colonists. But to find the essence of the seagull, we must strip away the context of our chip bags and parking lot. We must imagine the coast as it was for millennia before us. Picture a remote, sheer cliff face on the northern Atlantic, pounded by winter storms. The air is thick with salt spray and the roar of water on rock, and there, suspended in the maelstrom, is a herring gull. It is not looking for a handout. It is engaged in a pure, ancient dialogue with the elements. Its every feather is tuned to the gust. Its eyes scan the white-capped waves below for the silver flash of a herring school driven to the surface. This is the seagull in its primordial state, not a pest, but a vital, intricate cog in the coastal machine. It is a predator, controlling populations of fish and invertebrates. It is a scavenger, a cleanup crew that recycles nutrients from carcasses back into the ecosystem. Its guano fertilizes the sparse coastal soil. Its abandoned nests and eggshells provide material for other creatures. It is deeply, irrevocably woven into the food web. Its piercing cries are not just noise. They are the soundtrack of the wild shore, a sound that speaks of freedom, resilience, and untamed space. This is the seagull we have lost sight of, the one that embodies the very spirit of the windswept coast, fierce, independent, and magnificent in its raw competence. Our challenge now is to reconcile this majestic wild creature with the bold urban adapter we have created. It begins with a shift in perspective. See the gull not as a thief, but as a testament to adaptability. See its success not as an invasion, but as a reflection of our own ecological footprint. We can manage our waste responsibly to reduce unhealthy dependency. We can protect their natural nesting sites from disturbance. We can appreciate them from a distance, allowing them to be wild. And most importantly, we can choose to see. The next time you are on a coast, wild or tame, take a moment. Watch the gull. Don't just glance, truly observe. See the micro adjustments in its wings as it rides a thermal. Marvel at the precision of its dive. Contemplate the ancient knowledge in its eyes. Understand that you are looking at a survivor of ice ages and sea level changes, a creature that has mastered a domain where we are mere temporary, clumsy visitors. That simple act of mindful observation is a form of respect. It reestablishes a connection that we have severed with so much of the natural world. The seagull does not need our sentimentality. It has survived far worse than us. But perhaps we need the seagull. We need its wildness as a benchmark for our own world. We need its flight as a reminder of grace under pressure. We need its enduring presence on the windswept coast as a symbol of continuity in a changing world. So let it fly. Let it cry. Let it be the wild, complex, and utterly captivating master of the boundary between the sea and the land. For in understanding the seagull, we understand something vital about resilience, about intelligence, and about the untamable heart of the coast itself. If this journey across 5,000 words and 5 chapters of the seagull's life has changed how you see these birds, then this video has done its job. But the conversation doesn't end here. I want to hear from you in the comments below. Tell me about your most memorable seagull encounter. Was it hilarious, annoying, or astonishing? Has this video changed your perception? Your stories fuel this channel. And if you want to dive deeper into the hidden lives of the animals we see every day, then you need to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Because next week we're turning from the skies to the shadows to uncover the secret society of an animal even closer to home. You won't want to miss it. Until then, keep looking up and keep seeing the wild world anew. Thanks for watching.